Thanks so much for joining me. Yeah, welcome to our quick chat here about all things Beatles and Grimms and Deadfall, the upcoming Platinum Edition. So maybe before we jump into that, for those who don't know you, could you just give a quick introduction of yourselves?
Sure, Bill. Ourselves or the company?
Yeah, let's start with you guys. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah, the
Yeah,
brains
well,
behind.
I'm Bill Rehor. There's five founders of the company. I'm one of the five founders, and we all wear a ton of hats in this company because we're very small, and none of us are particularly adept at anything. Um, but I've been the project lead on a couple of different D&D boxes, and I created the Ring of Chaos board game for Beadle Grimm's, and I don't know what else. I write some adventures for the Purple Worm books. So there you go. That's me.
Nice, cool. How did you end up getting into D&D in the first place?
So my brother Charlie, who is also one of the founding members of this company, he's 3 years older than me, and when I was 10, I think he started. He was playing D&D with his friends, and being the younger brother, I had to sort of insert myself into that and get involved. And I distinctly remember that very first game of him running me through, I think it's called In Search of the Unknown, was that first module that we ran out of the box. And yeah, I've just been hooked ever since. Played D&D my whole life. Um, John and Matt and Paul and I all went to acting school when we were 21, just out of college in New York, and we quickly found that we had this hobby in common. We all started playing together, and we've been playing D&D regularly for decades before we even thought about starting a company together and doing this professionally. So
Amazing. That's awesome.
mm.
Yeah, how about you, John? Do you want to give a quick intro of yourself?
Yeah, John Ciccolini. Like Bill said, we all have a lot of hats. I do focus quite a bit on D&D. That's sort of a focus of mine. When we play together, I'm the dungeon master, so that's another distinction there. I fetch a lot of coffee and
Nice.
take out the garbage,
Important.
and
Important.
that's part of life at Beadle and Grimm's. You do a little bit of everything.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, and then maybe we can jump a little bit into Beetle and Grimm's. So yeah, for those who don't know, and I think most hardcore D&D nerds have heard of you guys. But for those who don't know, maybe you could tell us a little bit about the company.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, look, we started way back when D&D launched Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and we had come to them and said, "Hey, we have this idea for creating this platinum edition box set for the DM who has no time but has a little bit of income in order to create an immersive experience." And they said, "Yeah, let's have you try that." And Waterdeep was our first platinum edition, and we've been doing platinum edition and silver editions and legendary editions ever since. But we've also branched out with other things. We've worked with Critical Role, we've worked with Pathfinder, we've created our own 5e content. We've done murder mystery games, all kinds of different things.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I know recently too, like just with some of the bigger products that are coming out, maybe we can jump into the platinum edition of Arcana Unleashed Deadfall. So I know you guys just recently released some new information about it. Kind of at the same time that information's been slowly leaking out from Wizards of the Coast, so I imagine we'll probably learn a little bit more at Gen Con. But what can you tell us about the Platinum Edition of Arcana Unleashed Deadfall?
Yeah, so this, when we saw this adventure, this is a level 11 to 20, high level epic adventure. When we saw that content and we saw that D&D had, this full and written out adventure, we said that feels like a platinum edition to us. Very much like Vecna, Eve of Ruin, out like a platinum edition. And so when we saw the content, we said, okay, this is our big platinum edition for the year. And it comes with a lot of the things that folks who have bought platinum editions have come to expect. A ton of battle maps rolled up in a beautiful map tube, a box of WizKids pre-painted minis with alt decos that are specifically for our set. And then, of course, the big box of all of the other contents that will include some hard metal artifacts. It'll include tons of handouts, a DM screen. It'll include the book itself broken out into easy to use booklets. It'll include DM aids and player aids and bonus adventures that you won't find anywhere else. So yeah, a lot of the high quality materials that hopefully our customers have come to expect.
Nice. And for those who don't know what the difference between a platinum and silver and legendary edition is, what exactly is a platinum edition for Beadle and Grimm's?
So, for all of these sort of, I don't know what you call them, special editions that we do, we're always trying to create a more immersive experience for the players at the table and make life easier for the DM. Those are sort of the guiding principles of all these boxes. So we're trying to create, all of our boxes contain a lot of immersive elements, like, taking handouts, but not just a Xerox piece of paper, but a handout that we have worked on to make it really feel in world. The layout is in world, the print looks in world. We have these hilarious conversations with production companies where we're going, no, you have to crinkle the paper this way in order to make it look like it was this, or we're trying to waterlog an old ship captain's log in such a way that it looks waterlogged but is still readable. And but those things are a lot of fun to create, but when the DM is able to put those things out at the table, it draws your players in. It creates that sort of imaginary sense of being there and being involved in this thing in a personal way that creates a better experience for everybody. And that's sort of the guiding principle behind all of them. We don't make the silver editions or gold editions a lower level of quality than a platinum edition. We try to keep the same level of quality for all of them. It's just that there's more stuff. Mm-hmm. But sort of the defining difference with the platinum editions has traditionally been the WizKids curated mini set, where they're giving us a set of minis that are specifically chosen for that campaign, for the biggest sort of events that are happening. So you have those minis to put out at the table. The big rolled up map tube. So you've got nice big battle maps you can roll out that are all scaled for minis use to kind of draw people in on those big combat moments. And then just more of everything else. So there's more handouts. There's more, coins or trinkets or props and things that, one example that we love to bring up is when we did Wild Beyond the Witchlight, the Platinum Edition came with fairy wings that everybody could put on, mm-hmm. When they attend this carnival at the beginning of the adventure. It's crazy stuff like that, but it's those kinds of moments kind of bring everybody together and say, okay, this is the world you're in. And I think players really enjoy it. And it does make the DM's life easier when the players feel like they're getting pulled into the thing. And they feel like, you know what, I'm going to put down my phone for a little while and just focus on this thing for a while. And that makes everybody's experience better. And that's what we're hoping to achieve with all of these boxes.
That's amazing. And I don't the box sets, all of your box sets are absolutely beautiful. But I think one thing that's sort of occurred to a lot of fans over the last probably a year or 2 years is just How difficult is it to actually produce these days, just given production issues? We got tariffs, without getting too far away from D&D, like the real world pressures of producing these things. I don't think people totally understand how much effort goes into producing it. So how complicated is this? You're dealing with Wizards of the Coast, you're dealing with WizKids, you're dealing with manufacturing, you're using source material, you're expanding it. How challenging is it to put together a platinum edition like we see with the Deadfall adventure?
Well, John is sweating it out right now, so I'll let him answer it.
The challenging thing with something like a platinum edition is because there are so many elements, right? All it takes is for one to be delayed, and the whole thing has to be delayed, right? Everything has to deliver on time, or else you're not on time. So if there's even one hiccup of, oh, this piece over here, something went wrong and they're now late, or this little piece, because we're not going to be shipping everything out piecemeal. So in order to create that fully curated full package, everything has to run smoothly. And yeah, it takes a lot of production partners that we have a lot of faith in, and that we communicate a lot with, and a lot of planning and a lot of project planning to make sure that nothing falls through the cracks. And you're right, like shipping right now is a real challenge. But I will say that with Kickstarters, I think customers are getting more insight into this whole process, because with a Kickstarter, you are required, or best practice, I should say, to say, look, this is where we are in production. This just happened. It's going to delay a couple in your next update. This is going to be, we're now going to print. So I think customers have a little bit more insight into the whole, production and shipping aspect than they have maybe a long time ago.
Yeah, that makes sense. But
the other thing I'd mention about the process for us is that we always start behind the 8 ball, because like Wizards is a fantastic partner. They're great. They're collaborative. They want us to succeed, but it's not like we get to sit in meetings with them while they're developing Deadfall, and right. We have to wait until they're basically done. And so we get the sort of green light to start working on one of these things, and they're almost at the finish line. So we are racing to try to catch up and get our version of this product out as soon as we can. We're never able to hit the same release date that they do, but we're trying to get it as close as we can. And it's an absolute sprint trying to get that to happen on each of these projects. And, look, we're a small company. There's really 5 of us running this thing. And so when John is the project lead for Deadfall, we all read it. We all contribute our ideas at the beginning. But once that's kind of going, he's kind of doing that on his own, because I'm doing my thing and Paul's doing his thing and Charlie's doing his thing. So, it's an enormous cognitive workload to keep track of all of those things moving at the speed that it needs to move in order for us to hit the deadline that we needed to hit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially just given how far out in advance Wizards plans these things, and how I'm sure that doesn't really give you too much time to maneuver. So maybe we can chat a little bit about the adventure itself. I'm sure there's like some stuff you can't tell us. But what's kind of the elevator pitch of this particular adventure? I know we've heard from Wizards that it's going to be kind of an espionage fantasy base, which is a really cool concept. So what can you tell us, or what are you allowed to tell us about this adventure?
Yeah, we've been trying to say it's, Mission Impossible meets D&D, or it's like James Bond meets D&D. It is definitely very much espionage. It's fast moving. It's very high stakes, right? One false move, and the Zulkirs of Thay now know that you are plotting against them, and you and everyone is in danger. and I don't think it's a spoiler to say, you know, it should hopefully all end up in a massive combat with Sastam himself, trying to take him down. One of the things that I love about a espionage type adventure is the in-world handout opportunity, right? Okay, here is your dossier on this person. Here are your instructions for your next assignment. Lots of opportunities to hand players documents that under normal circumstances, without a platinum edition, you're just hearing something read to you, right, from the book. You're hearing the DM say, this is what you've got to do, and you're frantically scribbling your own notes. With a platinum edition, no, you're handed a sheet that has, assignment. This is who you're going after. This is what you need to do. And they can hold it and refer to it, 3 sessions later when everybody has forgotten what the heck they're supposed to be doing.
Right. That's very cool.
If everybody uses charisma as their dump stat, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. That's the fun of it when they sort of branch out in something like this, is that you start the value of some of those things on your stat sheet that you don't normally use. That your deception score, your investigation score, like those things are going to be put to regular use, and so it encourages you to create kinds of characters that maybe you don't normally do, or you're going to have a lot of fun playing a guy who is sort of out of their element and is having to sort of struggle to talk their way out of situations or figure out how to maneuver through these very delicate espionage type events. So I just love that. I love it anytime that I'm pushed as a player to try something different.
Yeah. It's cool. It kind of reminds me of like they leaned into the heist theme with Keys from the Golden Vault, but I was like, it'd be cool to see like an anthology of espionage themed adventures. Sounds cool too.
Yeah. I think that's a really good analogy for people who are trying to imagine what this might be like. There's a lot of elements of that Keys to the Golden Vault series in this, but it's this full campaign, not just a series of one-offs like Golden Vault was.
Yeah, makes sense. And then, so this is the second high-level campaign that we've seen come out from Wizards of the Coast. And then, so we had Vecna, Eve of Ruin, which you guys also produced a tie-in product for that too. Yeah. So what was your take seeing another high-level adventure? Because I know just seeing some of the online community feedback on this, I think people think this is very cool, but they're like, another high-level adventure. When, Wizards of the Coast has said statistically, like when they've polled people, most people only make it to like level 6 on average, level 8 on average. Like very few people play high level campaigns. So what was sort of your reaction when you'd heard from them, hey, we're doing another high level campaign like we did with Vecna, Eve of Ruin?
Well, I mean, I love the approach that they're taking to that feedback. When people say, very seldomly do I get to play a character that's, level 10, one reaction to that would be to say, okay, well, let's just write adventures for the levels that people play. And I think their approach is, hey, this is a whole different game when you play levels 11 through 20. Like everything changes when people have these kinds of powers, and you should give it a try. You should find out what this is like, because there's a whole sort of level of D&D that you're not experiencing. I love low level characters. It is my thing. But this does really change everything. And I think it's great for people to have an opportunity to say, let's just start at level 10 or start at level 11 and find out what this is like. Yeah. Again, play things you don't normally do and see if it speaks to you.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, I think it'll be cool. I think a lot of people will not necessarily like, hey, we're level 10, let's jump to this campaign. They're probably going to create new high level characters.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, it sounds like an
yeah,
option.
which is fun.
And then the other question I had too. So I know you guys, as part of the Platinum Edition box set, you've added some kind of additional adventure elements. Can you tell us a little bit about what those kind of expansion adventures are?
Yeah, yeah. I'm personally really excited about the two adventures that we added to this. The first one is an adventure that is set to occur before Wizard's adventure even begins. So it's like establishing the group as players in the spy and community, because it gives them a chance to prove themselves in a go and get this information setting. It does that, but it also helps to increase their motivation for taking down Saztam. Like we have Saztam do something in that adventure that will make it so that when you kick off Operation Deadfall, the characters should all be, yes, we are in. Let's go get this. Let's go get this guy. And thirdly, we worked in the option for the DM to introduce a bastion. So like an espionage headquarters for the players. And we give, as part of the box, not in that adventure, but as part of that box, we have a espionage headquarters handout that you can give to the players. It comes with a map, and then it has an area where you can fill out, what you want in that bastion. What do you want to put in there? And so the ability to really give the players a chance to ground themselves in the world, in the motivation, and as a party was just a great opportunity. And then the other adventure works within their module, but it's like level 11. It's early on, but it's another chance where in the adventure it was sort of like a little pause, like a break. And we were like, well, if you're looking to insert something here, here's another cool adventure that will introduce them to another aspect of Thay and the factions within Thay.
That's very cool. And when you guys came up with those concepts and some of the other elements that you've added to the box set, how much leeway does Wizards of the Coast give you to do that kind of stuff? Are they just, hey, go nuts, or are they a little bit strict in terms of what you can or can't do?
I wouldn't say strict. I think they're very collaborative. They want to review things on every level, but it's very much in terms of trying to help us make sure that we are, in alignment with everything that they're doing. It's not like we don't want you doing this, that, or the other thing. They just want to make sure that we're thinking through all of the details of what we're doing and how it's going to affect the adventure as it's written. So, it's a very, I think we've developed a very healthy process with them about that over the years, of how those things are going to work.
Okay. Yeah. And speaking, I guess, of working with Wizards, things have kind of changed internally with them, and you're probably one of the companies has sort of such a close relationship, having worked with them for so long and being so closely tied to what they're doing. Have you started to see? I mean, obviously, you're not going to be able to speak sort of on some inside baseball, but have you seen any changes that have happened recently, just with sort of losing Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford, and the new franchise model that Dan Ayub has been working towards? Have you guys sort of felt any of that, or how have things changed with how you work with Wizards in the last year or two?
I would answer that by saying not as much as you would think. The team that we work with has been pretty consistent. There was a major change a couple of years ago, but our approach hasn't really changed, right? Like, get the information as early as possible on what they're planning, sit down, collaborate with them on where they think the opportunities are, and then put things through review. Our relationship with them is always evolving, And it feels like there's a certain, I think Bill alluded to this, but there's a certain level of trust that they have with us now that maybe they didn't have with the first box or two, where they're like, these guys know what they're doing now, and we don't have to look as closely because they've done this so often, and you know, they've proven that they're not going to rewrite canon and try anything, you know.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe the shit we get away with now.
Well, there's stuff that we tried in the beginning. Like when I think of some of the stuff we tried to pull in the very beginning, and they were like, "You can't do that."
Yeah.
And, you know, it's evolved quite a bit.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I know, like, I think it speaks to the quality of what you guys produce, that relationship has lasted as long as it has, because I know, like, initially, even when 5th edition came out, they kind of outsourced that to some third party like Green Ronin, and I think even like Kobold Press, and so, you know, there you could see them kind of trying these different publishers out, but with you guys it's been like consistent, and you know, I think that does speak to the work that you're doing. But things feel like they're changing internally within Wizards of the Coast, and even how they're approaching publishers. Like, we have now, you know, Luke Gygax doing his own thing, and there's been discussions and sort of rumors around them doing like second party, or, you know, licensing out the D&D brand to other publishers. And I know we have some stuff coming out at Gen Con with Joe Magninello and possibly doing his own setting with the D&D brand. Have you guys had any discussions or any thoughts about doing that as well? Like doing your own, maybe using the D&D brand, but kind of expanding on what you're already doing and producing your own D&D licensed content with them?
Yeah, I think those thoughts are always there, and we have those discussions with them. You know, they're very. We've been playing around with, you know, starting to develop our own content that is 5e, not licensed D&D, but we've came up with the Skullduggery source guide that is a 5e companion and resource and adventure book that we're very excited about. The Purple Worm, Faster Purple Worm Kill adventure books are licensed books. You know, that's a licensed D&D product, and they've been super supportive about us creating those books. And Volume 1 is now on D&D Beyond, which was really exciting for us to see. And Volume 2 is, we're going to be doing a Kickstarter for that in August, I think. So that brand is continuing for us, and has been a great way for us to play around in licensed content. Yeah, you know, I think we're I think their strategy for that is evolving, and we're part of the conversation, and we're grateful to be part of the conversation. We'll see where it goes.
Amazing. And I guess outside of D&D, I know there's a lot of discussion that we've seen an explosion of other TTRPGs starting to eat D&D's lunch. I mean, D&D is still the biggest in terms of the market, but we're seeing, I mean, it feels like a golden age for TTRPGs, where we're seeing, you know, huge releases like Daggerheart and Draw Steel and Shadow Dark and so many other systems where people are starting to, you know, think outside of D&D. Are you guys seeing that as part of your strategy as well? I know you've already done some other projects, and you've collaborated with other brands, but is that going to become kind of a bigger part of Beadle and Grimm's going forward?
I mean, I think we're always open to those conversations, but right now, just creatively, we're finding it very rewarding to be able to start creating our own content. You know, we love supporting D&D products, and we will always do that. That's always going to be a huge part of our business. But with the time that we have left over, I think we're pretty excited about the idea of creating, you know, whether it's a source guide or adventure like Skullduggery was, or, you know, creating our own sort of setting within the 5e world. I think that's probably where our energy is going to go. It's always hard to tell. You know, tomorrow we could get a call from somebody that, you know, and if the if the idea was creatively exciting, we might, pursue that. But I think we're really excited about creating our own content. And for us as a small company, using that commonly spoken language of 5e is a lot easier for us than trying to grapple with the idea of creating a whole new system and coming up with a justification for why we're forcing everybody to learn a new language,
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, yeah, I think that's probably where our energy is going to go.
Nice, that makes sense. Yeah, and I guess in terms of what else is coming down the pipeline, is there any other projects? You had mentioned you have another Kickstarter for a new volume of Faster Purple Worm Kill Kill. Any other big projects coming down the pipe?
Yeah, we're very excited about that volume 2, and in fact, we're going to be showcasing a couple of the adventures at Gen Con as part of our big Faster Purple Worm Kill Kill shows. So I don't know, Jason, if you're going to Gen Con.
I am not going this year, unfortunately. But yeah, which kind of sucks because I'm going to miss out on the six floors of D&D goodness and a lot of other cool announcements this year.
Yeah, at the Repertory Theater. Yeah.
Yeah, we're excited to see that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
That's amazing. And so is this also going to be kind of like an expansion of the Everybody Dies adventures as well, too?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Those are amazing. I love the concept. And I guess for people who don't know what that series is, maybe you could just give kind of a quick rundown on what's involved in those.
Sure.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So the idea of Faster Purple Worm Kill Kill was a TV show that we did for the Dungeons Dragons Adventures channel a few years ago. The idea is that in every episode, 4 first-level adventurers go off on an epic quest. They run into one of the most powerful monsters in all of D&D lore and are summarily killed. And everybody dies every time, every adventure. And so last year, we came out with a book of adventures based on that TV show called Everybody Dies Volume 1. And it's 15 first-level adventures that all end with a cataclysmic demise. So that sold really well. People have been really excited about it. There's sort of communities building up around sort of playing these adventures. And, it's such a great game for it's our D&D night, but one of our 5 players can't come. We can't really play our regular campaign. What are we going to do tonight? Well, we'll just whip out one of these games. You play it in 2 or 3 hours. You have a great time. It's really fun and improvisational and silly, and then you can go back to whatever you're doing. So we're doing a second book of that, and at Gen Con, so we have 3 live shows, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thursdays in the D&D Tower, and then Friday and Saturday are at Gen Con proper. And we're also doing a bunch of table games there where all 5 of the founders, including Matthew Lillard, we're all doing at least one table game there where, we have 4 or 5 players and we just run through one of the adventures that we are currently preparing for Volume 2. So we'll be sort of play testing these games and letting people get to experience them sort of in mid-development and get their feedback, and that'll contribute to how the book comes together. So it's a big push for us for Gen Con this year, and we're excited about it.
That's awesome. And I guess in terms of you sort of touched on actual plays, is that still something that is I know a lot of people have been introduced to Beadle and Grimm's through the actual plays. Is that going to kind of continue to be important for the company going forward?
I mean, we love doing the live shows, and we love that it's connected to this published content that we're getting more and more of. So, yeah, it's great for us. It's hard to make time for it. It's hard to figure out when we can get everybody together and do a show. But we're doing a show at Gamehole Con in October.
Yep.
And then currently planning on going to PAX Unplugged, I think.
Yep.
I'm trying to get that to work out. So those would be the next 2 shows, I think, after Gen Con.
Cool. And is there plans to do any ongoing, kind of regular series, or is it going to be kind of more one-offs at conventions?
Yeah, we'd love to. It's really, really hard. Like I said, we're 5 people running this company. When we did that TV show, we basically had to shut down the company for a month.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we could all do a TV show.
yeah, yeah.
So we love doing it. We love, but it'd be difficult for us to. God bless these people like Evantris and Critical Role and all that are able to keep doing shows week in and week out. I don't know how they manage it.
Yeah, I think that's another misconception too. Where people, oh, how hard can it be to film a bunch of people playing?
Yeah, it's effing hard. That's what it is.
It's a TV show. It's an entire production. So yeah, that makes sense. And I guess another question too, like in terms of D&D, you guys again are very close to this. We've seen the launch of 5.5e, as they're previously people were calling it D&D 2024. Even Wizards was calling that.
I think we all call it 5.5.
That seems to be the agreed upon. Yeah, exactly. So where do you guys see, like you kind of have a more of an inside view of this than a lot of people and publishers. What do you guys see next for D&D in the next couple of years?
What do you think, John?
I'm trying. I'm immediately self-filtering to see what I can and can't say.
What am I allowed to say?
Right. Yeah.
From
keep those NDAs. You got to keep those. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, look, they're from what I'm seeing, they are continuing to. They will continue to have a focus on D&D for sure, like a heavy focus on D&D, and I think it's important for them to continue to build out their worlds, in a way where if I want to play a certain genre, I don't need to go outside of D&D to do that. If I want to play a Domain of Dread, if I want to play space, a space themed world, or if I want to play a whatever world that I want to play, D&D is going to have something that I can easily and quickly jump into and adapt.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I think that's right. I think the other thing I would say about 5.5 is that I think it is. They're very happy with it. They're very committed to it. I think it's been received overall really well. It's not like 6th edition is around the corner or something like that. From what we can tell, I mean, I think this is D&D for the time being, and I love it. I think it's I think they did a great job of sort of advancing the rules in certain ways, but keeping the language intact.
Yeah. It feels like most players would agree with that and say that it is like an improvement. I do know there was some feedback where a lot of designers, like I listened to an interview with Mike Mills where he was like surprised that they didn't actually make it more simplified, like it's actually become more complicated. Have you guys kind of felt that with some of the work that you're doing too, where we have like new systems that it's like a fairly crunchy game, but we're also seeing these like streamlined rules like kind of OSR games. What's your sort of take on that? Are those kind of like two sides of the same coin, or are they kind of two separate streams in terms of RPGs?
I mean, Bill, I know we've talked about this a lot, but a lot of times people say, hey, look, it's rules light. It's streamlined. We see a lot of these games where it's like, it's not very crunchy. And sometimes it can end up being harder on the DM than having a system where, no, the rules are defined. You know how to adjudicate that, right? But no, now it's up to me as the DM to say, all right, I'm going to come up with something that happens in the spur of the moment because you failed a roll, like every single time something goes, you don't hit, I have to, as a DM, come up with some brilliant thing that just happened. Like it's it's a balancing act, right? Like you're saying it's easier, but as a DM, is it easier, or is it putting more burden on me to story tell when, with something that has a more defined rule system and a more built out rule system? No, I know how that goes because it's written down here, and we don't, and it's very clear to everybody that that doesn't work that way, right?
Yeah.
When you take that away, you better have a DM that is very fair and is very sort of equal around the table, or else things can go sour pretty quickly if you don't have that experienced killer, GM who knows how to keep everything fair.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I could definitely see that too. I know, yeah, you definitely, some of the OSRs, maybe not the easiest for beginners to kind of jump into, and it's a lot of onus on the GM. I know we're almost on time. A couple other quick questions. You're doing this as a business, so this is your job on top of just like kind of day to day. Do you find that you're still maintaining that passion for role playing games and gaming and D&D in general, even though it's a business at the same time, or how do those two worlds kind of meet?
I mean, for me, it's funny that it's actually, like, I think my passion for it has increased over time for a couple of reasons. One, because we never get to effing play, because we're so busy with the company that when we do play, it's so fun and so exciting to finally just be able to say, no, for the next 3 hours, we're not going to talk about how the mechanics work or how we're going to sell this thing or how we're going to make this product in China or whatever. We can just sit down and play. Mm-hmm. So I really have come to really value those things. But I think also with some more understand, or the deeper level of understanding of how these games work and what things I treasure about them, has just sort of increased my respect for these games in general, and I'm genuinely excited to be able to be a little part of this whole thing. So
yeah, amazing, best of both worlds. Yeah. So last question. Just wondering, everybody, especially you've been playing a long time, sounds very similar to myself. Like I also was the younger brother whose older brother got him into it. Nice. So do you, either of you have like an all-time favorite D&D character that you've played that you still think about? I think, a lot of people kind of have those.
John?
One of my very first characters was a paladin named Landor. And, it's one of those things where throughout my life, you've got avatars and, usernames where that character like is just populated over and over for decades. And it's kind of like now part of how I approach things. So that character will always have a special place in my heart just because of the way that it has been intertwined in, how I interface with certain things. But it also feels like my most recent character is maybe my favorite because I'm always feeling like the way I play is growing. And my commitment to the game and the way that I develop characters. So the character that I'm playing right now in my Dragonlance campaign, I am really, really digging. And so there's both of those things at play.
Amazing. Yeah.
So the company, the name Beadle and Grimm is Beadle was a character that Matt played in a campaign that John ran, one of the first campaigns we all ran together, and Grimm was the barbarian that I ran in that campaign. Right. So obviously, pretty hard for me to answer anything other than Grimm.
Good answer. Good answer. And yeah, just to wrap up, I know right now, so pre-orders are available for the Platinum Edition of Arcana Unleashed Deadfall, and I think that's shipping in September-ish, right?
We're targeting November.
November? Okay, so November, we're looking for that. Anything else you guys want to plug that's coming down the pipeline?
Well, our boxed edition for Ravenloft is available. It's in stock. It's on sale, and that is a fantastic setting. If you like Strahd, the Domains of Dread, it's very, very cool. There's a lot of stuff in there that wasn't in the last Ravenloft book that they came out with, 3 or 4 years ago, however long it was, including Cthulhu, which is, fantastic to see that sort of, entering the D&D lexicon. So yeah, that's a great boxed edition if you kind of want to see what we do, and that's shipping right now.
Yeah, and I will say that hopefully by this time next month, our Skullduggery Kickstarter will have been shipped out, and we will start making it available on our store for people who missed the Kickstarter.
Amazing.
So we're super excited about that. And if anybody is interested in Faster Purple Worm Kill, those books of adventures, check out beadleandgrimms.com, join our mailing list. You'll get invited to our next Kickstarter. And yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, and I guess we'll keep an eye out for Gen Con as well, and see how things shake out there. So yeah, perfect. Well, thank you so much both for chatting with me. It was great to kind of dig into things, and we'll be in touch soon. And thanks again.
Cool. Super fun. Thanks, Jason.
All right, take care. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.